There's some dispute as to when Michael Jackson stopped breathing. Will they be able to tell whether it was 12:15 or 11 a.m.? Can you distinguish that finally the time of death, or is that going to be pretty much impossible to do?
If it's a couple of hours earlier, if he dies a couple of hours earlier, there should be some evidence of rigor mortis setting in.
Okay.
So when the EMT people come, it'd be very important. Was his jaw stiff? That's the first area we can see rigor mortis often in the deceased. About 2 hours in the jaws. Could they easily pass an endotracheal tube? After 2 hours, it becomes very difficult to pass an endotracheal tube, for example, an airway, because the jaws don't move; they're stiff. So that's a possibility, depending on how carefully rigor mortis was looked for. The amount of propofol, when he gives the propofol, that sounds, in and of itself, could be a cause of death, even without other medications, if, depending on the amount in the blood, that's the toxicology. So even though we have, apparently in the release of the affidavit, what a doctor says he gave, the toxicology is better independent information as to what actually was given.
One other thing people are suspecting is perhaps Dr. Murray may have fallen asleep and maybe Michael Jackson died hours earlier. So if he dies in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and Dr. Murray wakes up at 10:30 and discovers he's not breathing and he's been dead for 4 or 5 hours, that would be evident by the EMTs.
That would be evident by the rigor mortis, absolutely, and by other people there. That's what happened to Andy Warhol. Remember, he died at New York Hospital, and I testified in a hearing about the death because they had a special duty nurse who I had to testify fell asleep while she was watching him, because when Andy Warhol was found, he had all kinds of stiffening and rigor mortis. Therefore, the nurse could not have been treating him 15 minutes earlier, as she said.
Of course, it would be 15 minutes earlier with Andy Warhol.
That's one of the reasons it should never be given outside of a hospital. So the very act of giving propofol outside of a hospital is a deviation from proper practice of medicine, and especially not by an anesthesiologist. It's really a drug for anesthesiologists in hospitals and operating rooms or in clinics.